The trap isn't spending too much. The trap is that you've never decided what happens to your first dollar. Most people earn income and figure out what's left. They pay rent, cover the car, handle the bills, then save whatever survives. Sometimes there's $300. Sometimes there's nothing. The amount changes every month. The result doesn't. There is one decision that breaks this entirely. It's called the first dollar rule. It runs on a 4-part structure, 20-60-10-10, and it doesn't require a budget, willpower, or a higher salary. It requires a single setup decision made before the money arrives. After that, the math does the work. Here's exactly how it works. The system runs on 4 allocations. 10% builds your foundation first, 20% goes to growth, 60% caps your essentials, 10% is yours, guilt-free, no justification required. The system does not care what you earn. It works the same at $3,500 as it does at $9,000. The math scales. The percentage holds. Start with the 10% stability fund. Not growth, not investing. Foundation first. This is your emergency buffer, not a savings account, not a retirement fund, not an investment. A dedicated, untouchable reserve that exists for exactly one reason: to protect your growth allocation from getting dismantled the first time life sends an unexpected bill. The math is simple. Multiply your monthly essential expenses by 5 or 6. That's your target. Isabel's essential costs ran $2,500 a month. That made her target $15,000. 5 months of buffer sitting untouched before she aggressively built anywhere else. Isabel had no stability fund when her transmission failed in November. She sold her index fund position at a $400 loss to cover the repair. The fund recovered 6 months later. She didn't. That's the cost of skipping the foundation. When the market drops and your car needs a $3,000 repair in the same month, the person without a stability fund sells their investments at the worst possible moment. The person with a stability fund pays cash, doesn't touch anything, and keeps compounding. The stability fund isn't boring. It's what makes everything that follows durable. Keep it in a high-yield savings account. Separate from your checking. Separate from your growth account. Named something that reminds you it's off limits. Now, the 20%. This is your growth allocation, the portion of every paycheck that goes to work the moment it arrives. Most people hear invest 20% and freeze. They picture stock tickers, brokerage accounts, things that feel complicated. The first dollar rule removes the decision paralysis by using a stability ladder, a sequence of positions you build one rung at a time, starting where the floor is solid. You don't start at the top, you start at the bottom and climb as you build confidence. The bottom rung: a high-yield savings account. Not the savings account your bank gave you by default, a dedicated high-yield account. In 2024, many of these paid 4% to 5% annually. Your money earns while it waits. Low risk, fully liquid. This is where the first dollars of your 20% live until your stability fund is fully funded. The middle rung: broad market index funds. You're not picking stocks. You're buying the market. Broad market index funds have returned roughly 10% annually before inflation over the past several decades. After inflation, the real number is closer to 7%. That is the engine. You don't need to time it. You need to be in it. Isabel spent 3 years keeping $800 a month in a savings account earning 1.2%. She called it investing. At 1.2%, her money doubles every 60 years. She'll be 87. The top rung: high-income skills. This is the highest risk, highest return investment available to most people. A $2,000 skill investment that adds $20,000 to your annual income pays for itself in 5 weeks. You won't find that return in any fund. The stability ladder matters because it builds sequentially. You don't skip rungs. You don't start with crypto because someone online made it sound easy. You build the base, add exposure as the base grows, and climb as your system strengthens. If Isabel starts putting $500 a month into an index fund at 25 and stops completely at 35, she will likely end up ahead of someone who starts at 35 and contributes every single month until 65. 10 years of early exposure beats 3 decades of later effort. Time does more work than contribution rate. That's the argument for not waiting until you earn more before you start. Now, the 60% essentials cap. This is the rule most people find hardest, and the one that produces the most immediate change. 60% of your take-home income is the ceiling for fixed, recurring costs: rent, car payment, utilities, subscriptions, insurance, everything that hits automatically every month. Isabel's rent was $1,650. Her car payment was $480. That's $2,130 of a $4,200 income. 50% gone before groceries, before her phone, before anything. Most people have never done this math. They signed leases and car loans without knowing what percentage of their income they were committing. Then they wonder why there's nothing left. That $400 a month held for 10 years costs $48,000. The same amount, routed into a broad market index fund instead, builds to $73,000 at historical returns. One of those numbers ends in a driveway. The other ends in a brokerage account. The car isn't just expensive. The car is a decade of compound growth you gave away. The person in the newest car with $400 in savings is not ahead. They are maintaining an image. And image maintenance compounds the wrong direction. Wealth isn't appearances. Wealth is options. The option to leave a job, the option to say no, the option to not panic when an unexpected bill arrives. The last 10%, your enjoyment allocation. This exists because systems without release valves break. $100 or $200 a month set aside specifically for guilt-free spending changes the psychological weight of the entire system. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to explain it. It's allocated. It's yours. 2 rules protect this fund from becoming permission to self-destruct. Give yourself 2 full days before committing to anything optional above $100. The want usually doesn't survive the wait. And apply the 30-day rule. If you've still wanted it after 30 days, it's not impulse. If you forgot about it, it was. These aren't restrictions. They're decision filters. They make the enjoyment fund sustainable instead of a monthly emergency exit from the system. Isabel applied both filters for 3 months. The result wasn't deprivation. It was clarity. She stopped buying things she forgot she owned. The enjoyment fund became more enjoyable because she actually spent it on things she still wanted. The real play isn't just running the 20-60-10-10 rule on what you earn today. The real play is growing what you run through the system. Skills are the income multiplier. The first dollar rule scales with income. Lifestyle inflation does not. The math on this is relentless. If Isabel increases her income from $4,200 to $5,200 and holds her essentials flat, same rent, same car, that extra $1,000 runs entirely through her growth and stability allocations, not through her lifestyle. The system captures the upside. Lifestyle inflation swallows it. This is the income scaling problem most people never see. They earn more, they spend more. The percentages stay broken. The first dollar rule prevents that by fixing the allocations first. Income growth then becomes a true multiplier, not a treadmill upgrade. Every raise, every side project, every skill premium, it all runs through the same sequence. 20% to growth, 10% to stability, 60% capped on essentials, 10% guilt-free. The sequence is the leverage. The income is the fuel. Isabel doesn't need a higher salary to start. She needs one decision made before the first dollar lands, and she needs to make that decision every paycheck automatically before she touches anything else. The system doesn't require willpower. It requires setup. If you're waiting until the month feels right, until you earn a little more, until things settle down, you're running the same sequence that produced the same result. The only change that breaks the pattern is the one you make before the money arrives. If you've been spending freely and it never stuck, that is not the problem. The 10% enjoyment fund exists exactly for you. The sequence is the fix, not the personality.